Episode 6 of the Cookies and Beats podcast with your hosts, SeoulPark and PHANTOMHOUSE.
Scooty.
Phantom, so I'm just coming from the spa or the sauna, whichever one you want to call it. And right now, I am just a floating head.
And I bet, like, I feel the same, but like, I'm just tired instead.
Man, so to all the listeners that are unfamiliar with, a sauna, a spa, at least the one, especially Korean owned spas and saunas, the
Yeah.
way they function. Have you been to one, Phantom?
Yeah, I've been to when I was younger, but I need to go back.
Yeah,
Like, my body, my back needs that right now.
yeah. Episode 6 is called That's Underrated. So today, we're going to talk about everything that in life that both we think are underrated. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the sauna. Hold on. Oh, excuse me. The sauna is underrated for the reason that if you want to feel like the most relaxed human being on the planet for at least 3 hours, you need to go to the sauna. And this is why.
Absolutely.
First, when you go in the sauna, you're gonna be in the think of it as like the shower room, so kind of like a community bathroom type of, you wash up, you do all that good stuff. But the main point of the shower room is typically there is a hot and cold pool. So you got the really really hot water and the really really cold water. And what I usually do, Phantom, is I kind of do like 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off.
What do you first? Like, do you go into the hot water first or the cold water?
I'm not a maniac. I start with the hot water first.
Man, you're
You
doing it
start with the cold
wrong.
water first?
Yes, that's the
There's
point.
something wrong with you.
No, no, listen, you have to stress your body to low temperatures so you can just like let it like just chill down on the hot
Mhm.
water. That's how you do it.
Right. You know,
Actually, when you go to the hot water, your body temperature is higher, so you're gonna feel even colder
it's true.
later.
It's true.
Yeah, so
So I do 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. So I just start, hot potatoing both pools, and the feeling for both respectively when you go from hot to cold or cold to hot, it's just the best way to explain it is it's exponentially more strong. So the cold is colder and the hot is hotter.
out of the week or
And
the day.
and the cold and why I like the cold pool, I know a lot of people don't like insanely cold water because it to some people it's uncomfortable. But the
Yeah.
reason why I like the cold pool is because if you stay completely still, you don't feel the cold. But it's when you move like just a centimeter or just a small movement, then you feel all the coldness. So I like being able to just be completely still and just not think about anything.
Dude, I think it's the opposite for me. I need to move to heal my body.
You don't like being still?
If I stay still, I'm just gonna freeze.
No, but that's the thing. You would think if you stay still, you're going like you would think moving will help with the coldness, but at least for
Yeah,
me, staying still is the best way to handle the freezing temperature.
think about it. When it's like when you jog in winter time, to just like um how is it called? Just to warm up. What do? You start running, right? If
Right.
you stay still, you're just gonna stay cold the whole time. I find the same thing when you're just like in cold water. You
Mhm.
gotta move so your body just heats up. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I feel that.
But yeah, I mean, if that works for you, I guess it works. If it works, it works, right?
If it works, it works. And from the
No
shower
questions.
room, you move on to now the communal public, I guess you could say, hot rooms. And typically they vary in temperatures. You have the really really hot rooms where you're waiting in there for a minute and you're instantly sweating. Like it's that hot. But it's not like it's like a dry hot. So it's not
Yeah,
unpleasant hot. You know what I mean?
dude.
And so like that is just pure ecstasy to me when you just go in that hot room, you sweat your ass off, and you don't think about anything. You just close your eyes, take deep breaths, and you just be.
Absolutely, man.
So I'm
And
coming from that right now, and there truly is nothing floating in my mental right now. I'm just existing right now.
man, I guess I'll have to carry on the podcast today.
Right, you're gonna be carrying today's episode. I'm following your lead, Phantom.
Okay, so when was the last time you been to a spa?
The last time I did spa,
Yeah,
30 minutes ago.
I mean before this
Before
time.
that, maybe it has to be at least 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, that's not a lot.
It's not. And typically, what I'll do is you can pay extra for what's called a scrub session. And
Oh,
now this is to what some people will, it's going to be somewhat of a foreign concept. But everyone has dead skin. As you sweat, as you just live life and you go out in public, you walk in the dirt or whatever, dead skin accumulates on the surface. And what's really good for your skin is for you to occasionally scrub the dead skin off. And the way
dude,
you do that is you first, I don't even know what you call those things, but you put it, it's kind of like a mitten. You put it on your hand, and the texture of it, it's almost,
it's
I
like
guess, yeah. How do you describe
it's
that
like
texture?
I that's how I saw what I use. It's like what's it called? Like a globe,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like grip,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
There's some grip on it.
Yeah, and how you use is you put like soap or whatever you use, or just to exfoliate,
Right.
and you just rub it on your body.
Exactly.
It works amazing. Like I feel like I can sour if I don't use it. I
It,
feel dirty.
yeah. One
Like
hundred
there's
percent.
no way.
100%. And the way you actually, at least technically speaking, the best way to start out with the scrubbing, and to all the listeners, you guys can do this at home first. You don't even have to go to a spa for this, but you technically should start out by scrubbing your whole body dry. So, like, no water, no nothing. Maybe just like, just rinse it with water and then just start
Yeah,
dry scrubbing. And if you haven't done this in a minute, it's gonna show. I don't want to have to explain visually what it's gonna look like, but you're gonna clearly know that it's working when you see what you see. And so I usually do this whenever I go to the spa, because you got the scrub connoisseurs. They scrub it for you, so them them people, man, them workers, they got
them
forearms
people know.
of a superhero. Like they're scrubbing not just your dead skin off, but they're scrubbing your baggage, your emotional baggage. They're scrubbing,
It's scrubbing your whole soul, man.
yeah, they're scrubbing your soul. They're scrubbing the stress off your body. And so, to all my listeners, if you've never been to a spa, if you've never had a little scrub session, whether solo or at the spa, I highly advise you to do it because your life will change for the better.
100%. Like you will feel like a new person
Mm-hmm.
for some time, and then you gotta do it again.
Yeah. To my
But yeah,
listeners joining now, I'm coming from the spa right now, so I am just a levitating head in just in a big universe.
I think it's the first time your name makes sense. Soul Park,
Why? Why?
because you're just a soul right now. You know,
Yes.
you know, like a human.
I'm just a
It's your
floating
soul
soul.
floating.
A floating soul. Do you know how I got that name? Like, do you know how I got, like, how I decided on SP Phantom? Do you remember the story?
I think I remember the story, but like for the people who doesn't know it,
Yeah. This is a funny story. So, in an alternate universe, listeners, there was a moment in time where I was about to be DJ Perm. Just let that sink in. You would have been following at DJ Perm on Instagram and all other platforms. But thank the Lord, thank my friends, because I got some better suggestions than DJ Perm. And it's a, I remember when I was like, when DJ Perm was still in the back of my head, I already had like the logo pictured, man. It's just like,
like
imagine like a silhouette of my hair and just
man had the word
and the
branding.
bell curve, right? It's just the outline of the hair and the little squiggles to accentuate the volume. That was a moment in time.
Dude,
So this is the story of
that could
how
work
I ended up with
honestly.
Soul Park. This was early last year. I was on FaceTime with a couple of my friends, and I was telling them, "Hey guys, I need your, DJ artist name suggestions because I gotta find some kind of alias now that I'm gonna start a Twitch channel and start all of this." And I first told them, right now the only name I have in my head is DJ Perm, but I know we shouldn't go that route. And my friends were all in unison, yeah, you can do better, Harry. So then I just started throwing out things, just throwing out little pockets of information that maybe my friends could use to think of a name. So I told them, I was born in Seoul. Obviously, I'm Korean American. My last name is Park. I was born in 1997, and I just started throwing all this stuff out. And then instantly, one of my friends just goes, "Yo, what about Soul Park?" And then we all just kind of pause, and I'm like, "It's got a nice ring to it." And then in my head, I was like, it's a very Korean name. Like you can't get more Korean than Soul Park. Um, but I just kept saying it back over and over again. I was like, you know what? It doesn't sound half bad, and I like the whole SP vibe. And so that is a story of how I was really close to being DJ Perm, but thankfully, shout out Indiana, my boy Indiana, for giving the name, and that is how I ended up being Soul Park.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Like imagine right now,
DJ Perm.
DJ Perm.
I'm
Like
if your name is DJ Perm, you're never getting booked at a venue.
I can imagine like just your visuals on a gig, on a festival, just DJ Perm,
With
man,
with a name like that, the only venue you're spinning at is a barbershop.
dude. I swear, you're gonna be the headliner, literally.
Y- your 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 EP is gonna be called Squiggles.
Squiggles.
Your um it would have been a disaster. It
I
wouldn't.
don't think so, honestly.
It would have ended my career before it even started.
Okay, let me tell you something. Maybe not like DJ and perm, like everything at the same time.
Yeah.
Just perm. That sounds good.
Perm. It does
It's
not
just perm.
sound good.
I mean, dude, DJ perm sounds so cheesy, cringy. I don't know.
DJ
Perm.
when you hear DJ Perm, I would expect
No.
someone with just the most like I'm trying to think of a character or a cartoon character with a crazy perm, like crazy squiggle hair.
Johnny Bravo.
You said who?
Johnny Bravo.
Mm,
Have you seen that cartoon?
it
Wait, let me
sounds
type it.
familiar. You said Johnny Bravo?
Yeah,
That's wait, hold on. Yeah, Johnny
bro.
Bravo, but that's not a perm. He's just got spiked
Dude,
up
but like
hair.
I know, but it's just like that's what I think of right now.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny Bravo's volume, that hair volume is the real deal.
Dude, but I'm saying you, perm's not that bad.
Hey,
Like
but to my
DJ
listeners,
perm is the thing.
you know what is underrated? The perm. I'm gonna
You
give
think
a
it's
quick.
underrated?
I'm gonna
I
give a
don't think
quick
it's
little
underrated.
lesson. I'm gonna give a quick little hair lesson to my listeners. Everybody that might not be aware, every Korean celebrity, Korean K-pop idol, every one of their beautiful hairstyles would not be achievable without some type of perm. True story.
The
Every
template, man.
every beautiful hair style that you see on all the members of BTS, on Red Velvet, Blackpink, you name it, there was some sort of perm involved in the process. And the thing is, a lot of people when they hear perm, they just think of like a spaghetti bowl. But there's a lot of different types of perms, and a lot of people don't even know that there's just a lot of work that comes into getting that hairstyle, especially across um, Korean males nowadays in 2021. Everyone's got that hair. The what one of our buddies calls the bell curve hairstyle. But yeah, it's all done. It's only achievable through some sort of type of perm. So there's a little fun fact nugget for all our listeners. That's underrated. When I say that, Phantom, what comes to your mind as something that's underrated nowadays?
A few things, man. What's underrated? Not sleeping.
You think so?
Yeah, because everyone's like, go sleep early or like you need to sleep. But like, as long as you sleep, you're fine, man. At least my case, like everyone's like having like a messed up schedule. It's underrated. Like as long as you're doing your stuff and you eating healthy and
Yeah.
just getting sleep, who cares?
How many hours of sleep are you running on right now?
Dude, the thing is, my sleeping schedule is normal now. I go to sleep 9, 10 p.m. I wake up at 7 a.m.
Mm.
But now today we got podcast, so I'll probably go sleep like when it's over.
Mm.
But usually I go max 10 p.m. But I'm so over it. Like I'm like I feel the same. I'm just wasting time. So I feel like just gonna mess up my sleeping schedule again.
The longest I've gone without sleep is 20 hours. What about you, Phantom?
Um, I think I've stayed easily 36 hours up.
You said 36?
Yeah.
When was that?
Um, a couple of years ago, like I just stayed up the whole day, and then the next day I had a trip,
Oh my goodness.
and I was just chilling, man. Like, I don't know, my brain just works differently, I guess. But like, I can operate with like a few hours of sleep, or just not sleeping. Like, I don't know, man. As long as I sleep later or get some sleep, I'll be fine. That's
A-
it, dude.
And the reason
Like,
why I asked about how long you've gone without sleeping is it reminded me of one of the, I guess, like gateway experiences I had. And the reason I stayed up for 20 hours was it was right around Christmas time last year. And I basically did a 20-hour Twitch stream. And on the stream, all I did was play this RPG game called Maple Story.
dude,
But I kid you not, by that 18th hour, that 19th hour, I really felt like this out of body experience. I didn't feel like I was in my body anymore. I felt like I was floating. Like right now, obviously I just came from the spa. I feel like I'm floating, but it's like a different floating. There's levels to this floating. And it reminds me, I've been watching a lot of David Blaine videos. David Blaine, are you familiar with David Blaine, Phantom?
I heard of him.
Okay. David Blaine, long story short, he's um unanimously regarded as one of the greatest magicians of the last few decades. He's done crazy stunts. He's really, really skilled in his magic tricks. But one of the experiences I remember hearing him talk about lately, it was just on a YouTube video. One of the stunts he did, Phantom, he stood in a block of ice in downtown New York in Times Square for 63 hours, 42 minutes, and 15 seconds. He stood in a block of ice for over 62 hours. And he was talking about how I think by hour 30, right around there, some of the craziest hallucinations he's ever experienced.
No way. Like, dude.
He I mean first of all, the fact that he was standing for this long and he's in a block of ice, so he can't lean on anything, because if he leans on anything, he's going to start touching the ice and he's going to get frostbite. So, first, he is standing in the same spot. He can't move, he can't lean on anything. And then by hour 30, he just starts hallucinating crazy. And the way he
Yeah.
described it was essentially all the positive emotions were multiplied by 100, and then on
Okay.
top of that, all the negative emotions were multiplied by 100. So just everything felt more intense. And like he didn't really go too much into how like in terms of describing his hallucinations, but I think it was something where like he asked somebody nearby, like one of the guards or whatever, like, "Hey, what time is it?" And they held up like a 4:02, so 4:02 p.m., right? And it was at this moment he realized he was hallucinating, because he stood for a good maybe like 45 minutes. He could tell like this was at least like 30 minutes, right? He
Yeah.
waited until a good amount of time until he would ask the guard again, "Hey, what time is it?" And then they went 4:03. And so he's like, "Oh my god, I'm clearly like I'm in La La Land now. Like the fact that 1 minute has passed, and man, so I just remember like in my experience that 19th, 18th hour Phantom, it was just like this crazy. Like I'm gonna be honest, it was god awful miserable. Like just
It
just
was.
the energy, like you just feel so groggy. You feel so
Yeah.
slow. You feel like a plant.
No, absolutely, man. Like just like I feel like I'll be fine if it wasn't like if I wasn't looking at the same thing for hours because I was just like, now I have to move and like go to this area
Right.
and do it again. I was like, I don't want to do this, but like, no, yeah, I feel you, man.
Yeah.
It was just
I think
miserable.
there's a good medium because you know, I would argue like if you're sleeping 10 hours every day, um I would argue you don't need 10 hours. I would argue you don't even need 8 hours. Like 8
You
hours
even
is a sweet spot cuz you feel great, but if you're trying to get more out of the day, like even 6 hours, 5
six is
hours,
is a perfect ratio.
it's
Six or
it's
seven.
it's like more than
Seven
enough.
is still yeah. I don't know, dude. Like sometimes I'd be sleeping like 9 to 10 hours, and I
Yeah.
would just feel so tired.
Yeah.
Then sometimes I would just sleep 5 to 6 hours. That would be just amazing. I don't know. I feel like just the more you sleep, the more tired you get.
Yeah.
So when you sleep like only for a few hours, because your body still feels like, oh man, but you barely went to sleep. So you still like your brain is not like 100% like set off, like just like still like I don't know, still like fresh, not fresh. I
Yeah.
don't know how to call it, but it's still like it's still out from like time you went to bed, so it doesn't feel like you went to sleep at all, but you
Right.
did. So
Yeah. My my advice to the listeners is definitely I honestly I would kind of I'm going to say the opposite of what you said in regards to sleep. I think sleep is underrated. People need their sleep cuz I remember the I think if I remember this correctly, the person that broke the Guinness's world record for consecutive hours awake with no sleep, he did like a actually let me just look this up real time.
I think I know what you're talking about. Like, didn't they die?
Yeah, so he 1964, a man 17-year-old Randy Gardner. He set the record for longest amount of time a human has gone without sleep. He went for 11 days, 25 minutes. Jesus Christ.
Dude, that's that's literally death, man.
And he, as far as I remember, he died shortly after.
Yeah, man. No. Like, if you survive that, man, you're God. like, like there's no way you can survive that, man. 11 days. It's literally 2 weeks, man.
Well, actually, it's saying Gardner appeared to have fully recovered from his loss of sleep, with follow up sleep recordings taken 1, 6, 10 weeks after the fact, showing no significant differences. Obviously, he reported experiencing serious insomnia decades after his sleep experiment. But that's actually interesting because now that I'm fact checking it, at least the last time I heard this, I remember hearing the dude died. So either Gardner surpassed the dude that died, or Gardner is the guy, but he was able to actually fully recover, which is also just an interesting thought because a lot of like what this is telling me, and also a lot of what also David Blaine, like a lot of his stunts, they're not even magic tricks. It's just he's pushing the limit of his body,
Yeah,
like mind over body. That was really what he wanted to show the world, where human beings are able to achieve a lot more than they mentally think they can.
I agree with
And
that.
yeah,
But like, you're gonna you still need like some physical training at least.
yeah,
You gotta be like at least in like a decent shape, you know. Because if you are like weak,
yeah.
you're not gonna make it out.
I mean, I would
Even if
argue if
I
you're
don't know.
experiencing serious insomnia decades after the sleep experiment, that's not fully recovering.
No, dude, that's that's not even close to it. Like you just
Insomnia
messed up.
is just it just sucks.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
So underrated sleep. Listeners, sleep more, but also like take power naps throughout the day. Like 20-minute power naps, really good for you too.
I mean, it's so we sleep, dude. Like I don't remember how much, but like it's a big part of our lives. Just sleeping. I feel like it's overrated. Like I feel like what's underrated is not sleeping, but like having like a schedule where you need like X amount of hours to sleep. You can always sleep. Like you need to sleep, so it doesn't matter if you do it now or later. You're gonna end up doing it anyways, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're not gonna spend 11 days without sleep, but like all I can say is like you can still have like a messed up schedule and get sleep.
Right.
Like it's just, I mean, I've been doing that like almost my whole life. I'm still running.
I got this little subreddit pulled up of
I'm
some
running.
things that are extremely underrated. And I think this is also something. Clear sinuses when you're not sick. Cuz I don't get sick often, Phantom, but when I do get sick, it's like this reminder where I'm like, "Wow, this is what it feels like to be sick." And it sucks.
Yeah, true.
Do you get sick
Yeah, yeah.
often?
Not really. I get sick maybe once.
A year?
Not even sometimes just like once every 2 years.
Mm.
It depends on what I'm doing. But like last time I was sick was what, 2 years ago? And it was just a cold. That's it.
Yeah.
It was so funny because it was right when COVID started.
Uh-huh.
I was like, damn, do I have COVID? But it was just like it's like a normal cold. I was fine literally 2 days later.
Mm.
But yeah, like I don't usually get really sick.
Same. Within music, Phantom, when I say that's underrated, what's something that comes to mind?
Sidechain.
Oh, I like that.
Sidechain and cutting the low end of anything that's not
Oh yeah.
low end. Like
Oh yeah.
just like the amount of times I hear like bad mixes just because people think, oh no, I don't have the best samples, I don't have the best mix
Yeah.
stems. And it's just literally just the sidechain not coming true. Or like you
Mhm.
have a lot of elements with a lot of high end. I mean low end. And it's just like I'm like, dude, it takes you 1 second to do that and
Right.
you're still thinking it. Underrated. If you're reading this, I mean, if you're watching this, cut your low end and sidechain
Always. You know
properly.
how I look at it, like in terms of getting a clean mix within music. I just look at it as less is more.
Absolutely.
Like you don't need all the frequencies in that sample you're using.
Yeah.
You
There's
probably need
always
like just the mids at most, or even just the highs. You don't need you will never need the lows, because the lows just sounds like you don't need that in the mix.
like most of the time you don't even hear it, but you're just
You're right,
taking space.
right.
So it's just why not cut it?
I still remember the first musical feedback point you gave to me, Phantom. It was right after I released Beat Go, my first track ever, and I think right after after it got released, I discorded you, and I was like, "Hey, like, I wanted to get your feedback on Beat Go,"
Yeah.
and you were like, "Yo, it's tight, man, but make sure to have some more headroom. So just cut out the lows." And I remember reading that, and I'm like, "What is he talking about? What is this language he speaks? Cut out the lows?" Like,
I don't blame you, man.
I know how the millennials talk nowadays, but what does this mean by cut the lows?
Wait, what is low end?
Cut the lows.
What is this weirdo talking about?
So listeners, if you produce music or if you plan to produce music and you don't know what we're talking about, it's time to hit the books. It's time to
Okay.
drag that EQ8 into your audio effect rack if you're using Ableton. And if you're not using Ableton, you might as well just stop making music.
Drop your Pro Q.
Fab
I swear,
Filter.
man. People who doesn't use Pro Q or any dynamic EQ nowadays, wrong.
Phantom, list
That
out some underrated audio plugins.
um okay. So I've been using this plugin by Joey Surgeons. It's a stereo imager and it's mono compatible and it's amazing. I feel like a lot of people sleep on stereo imaging and like I hit a lot of good mixes, but like there's so mono, like there's nothing wide at all. Or it's either like there's too much stereo image or like no, not all.
Yeah.
So side widener is called. Like look it
Sine
up.
or side?
Side widener.
Side widener.
It's amazing. It's so cheap and it just works so good.
Yeah.
And another one I would say, um,
I'll
for
chime in.
me,
For all my
for
Ableton
me, for
users,
you, yeah,
Overdrive.
overdrive.
Overdrive and Erosion.
Ooh, that's a big cope. Actually, I'm gonna correct you. Saturation and erosion.
Right,
Situator.
which is essentially, yeah, saturation, overdrive, they essentially do the same thing. But
Dude,
yeah, saturation
amazing.
and erosion, listeners, um that thing them two is just going to make your sample come alive.
Dude, for real, like,
With
man,
some white noise on the erosion.
dude, sub basses with like noise on the top. It's just the next thing right now.
Oh. One thing, definitely in a future episode, I know that we will need to show our listeners, Phantom, is we're gonna pop open a DAW,
Yeah,
and I know that it would be super valuable if you walk through how you make said sample sound like the fattest, darkest, grimiest sample, because your before and after with just effects applied to a sample, it changes the whole sample. Like it goes from a pluck to a dubstep stab.
dude, that's like you said, like the power of processing, man. Like you don't have to make crazy sounds from scratch or have like the craziest sound from default. You can always just take anything and just. I mean, look at makeup for example. The after and the before and after, like you can be like, "Yo, is that is this makeup?" Hell, but yeah, like just post processing can take you anywhere you want nowadays,
Right.
and yeah, just mess around. Like most of the time, not the basics, but like just like try like new stuff out, new techniques. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what if I automate this? What if I add this? And yeah, I'll love to just walk y'all through my processing. And yeah, I don't know if there's any producer in the chat right now. Like, you can DM us what you want to see, like about production, like
Right.
sound design, mixing, anything. Just let us know, and we'd be glad to just cover it on the next episode.
100%. To all listeners, once again, if you haven't already, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Cookies and Beats. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's SeoulPark on YouTube for all the replays to our podcast. And, we definitely are planning some future music walkthrough, music production walkthrough. For example, Phantom and I, we've been thinking of, walking through some just really simple technique you can apply to your
Yeah,
your workflow, and it'll just either A, create more headroom, B, make your samples sound more interesting. Um just the little things.
yeah, the details, and like just yeah, because I feel like I don't know, there's like good tutorials, but like most of them they just talk about like okay, like how to create a reverse effect. I'm like, dude, it's 2021. Everyone knows how to do that. Like, show me something new, something different, or like something that no one's talking about. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of cool tricks, cool processing techniques you can just share with the world. And that's like why I feel like music, most of it still sounds the same. Because like there's such like a big gatekeeping community,
Right.
even though no one's want to admit it. But there's a lot of gatekeepers that want so like just like yo, it's literally bro, it's literally a sine wave like, with a lot of OTT. Like you can say that like at the end of the day, what matters is you and not what you saw because that's you. Like if you saw how to do it, if you did it once, you can do it again and like all the times you want. Because if you're capable to just like create like something from scratch, you can do it all of times. Like
Mhm.
sky is the limit, man. The brain is just amazing. Like you can do whatever you want. So yeah, it's just like more. We need more stuff, like new stuff, like fresh stuff to
Mhm.
learn and share to the world. So here, cookies and beats. We'll be glad to do that.
We are here as a resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, crazy enough, we're already at the 43 mark here. And
43. Damn.
I think the last underrated thing I want to share to wrap up here is the homies.
The
I
homies.
think the homies are underrated. You know, COVID has been going longer than any of us imagined. I think now more than ever, everybody just needs to hit up their homies. And even if,
Yeah.
say, your homies aren't in the area, just go give them a FaceTime. Like, don't even text them. Like, just hit them up. Go give them a call and
Yo.
just say what's good. How's life going? Just know that you're appreciated. You know what I mean? Like, spend less time on social media and more time with the homies.
Shout out to Alexis Music. It's in the chat right now. He really just FaceTimed me while we recording the podcast. I couldn't like fight to you, man, but like
Yeah, I had
I
one of
love
those
you, dude.
too.
Yeah, shout out to the homies.
Yeah, man. To our listeners, man, just don't lose touch of reality, cause
Yeah.
man, nowadays the most stressless I feel is when I'm just not looking at my phone. I'm taking a deep breath. I'm just feeling the wind on my face. You know what I mean? Like just real
Yeah.
life, real substance. And so with that, I think we're gonna end it here. Episode 6 of the Cookies and Beats podcast. Once again, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Cookies and Beats. Follow SeoulPark on YouTube. I mean, not follow. Subscribe to SeoulPark on YouTube for all replays to our podcast. And if you ever have suggestions, feel free to DM us on Instagram. That is episode 6. That's Underrated. From your host, SeoulPark and Phantom. Au revoir.
Au revoir.